Well, hello my fellow car maulers, how you doing today? We kind of have a Porsche build update, the group build, but this is kind of turning into a little bit of an information video too about laying down some paint. Also a little bit of an update on the 48-hour group build that I did. So we got kind of like a 3-in-1 video here. We're going to be talking about your undercoats and your paint and how it affects. I've got my red down that I want on my Porsche build, and just to go over what I'm doing here, I went through different layers and I took some pictures. They weren't that great though. Hopefully you get the idea. And I'm looking at this. I'm still having some issues here with the Tamiya paint. I'm happy and sad here at the same time. But you can see all that roughness right there. If you go over and you watch Throttle Power, old Tim, he's been doing some distress paint jobs and he loves to do the salt thing, and it's kind of an old school thing. There's also product out now that can give you this effect, and there's other ways of doing chipping effects, but I've never done the salt thing and always wanted to, so I thought it would be appropriate on this car. So where we see salt, when I bust all that off, and we'll do that in another video, it's going to expose what's underneath in a really cool way, and then I can go with my layers of weathering that I got planned for this car. But that's about it for the update on the Porsche build. Now we're going to move to I'm going to remove this baby off its stands, put it out of the way, but we'll be coming back to it. I want to talk about this model. Alright, so you guys all saw it in the final video. I was done with it, but after that I was having a lot of problems because I didn't clear over it, and the decals are really old. They were coming off. I even lost, you see that Amco decal there on this side. I ended up, there goes the hood. I also lost the hood. I lost that decal, so I wanted to get clear on this. Now this video also, I think I might be doing a little griping because I don't know what's happened. I have used Tamiya paints for a long time, and you know I'm a Tamiya fanboy, but I'm starting to have some problems with Tamiya paints, and there's a lot of things going on. The white here wasn't the Tamiya white because I was having issue with Tamiya white for a long time, and someone in the comments stated, and I didn't do it on this, again I'll tell you what I used in a moment if you didn't watch the series, that this base white is a game changer, and I used it on the Porsche, and we'll get into that in a little bit. This base white is really cool, and we're going to get into some color things when it comes to bases and your top coat. But right now I needed to put clear on this, so I broke out my TS13 clear. I have a whole bunch of cans here of TS13 clear. Got to spin that around, which has always been my go-to, but I have had some real bad issues with TS13 in the last few builds where it's just no matter what you do, bad reactions, no matter what paint you put on, whether it's Tamiya paint you put it on, shouldn't have an issue, because this is the white here, the base coat was a Duplicolor lacquer base paint, and the Tamiya spray cans are a synthetic lacquer, so there shouldn't be any reactions, but I did have some reactions. Man, it just would go on so rough and just wouldn't smooth out, and I kind of got a little heavy-handed, and I'm bummed out. I got a little bit of solvent pop right there, but I needed to get clear on this body. I also needed to add a couple decals. I had to do some hunting. I was wanting the Pontiac decal right there. That wasn't on the car, and also the Pontiac decals on the B pillars. That wasn't on the car when I was done with it. So I just wanted to finish it off, get it ready for the model meeting. And of course I had some catastrophes too. I took the body, took the glass out. You know, I was having problems. I still got a few things to fix. I'm having issues keeping that nice. Next time I build one of these, I'm just going to lop these off. These have always been a problem, the way they have those molded onto the body. I can't stand that. I had to get it all busted apart, and then when I was clearing, of course, it fell all onto the floor, and it got some stuff in the roof and the nose blew off, and you can see there's a little scarring where I had to glue it back on, but wasn't that concerned. Let it sit for a while. I buffed the crud that was on the roof. It was just one coat of clear, so I was able to buff it out, and I fixed the nose, buffed the stuff off the nose, and you can see I also got all the screen detail done. Before I cleared it, I put metallizer aluminum in there for the screen, and then after I cleared it, I hit it with some panel liner, Tamiya panel liner black, just to give it that contrast and that look of screen. I'll give you another look at that. And so put it together, took it to model me. You probably saw it in that video. I love it. It looks great on the shelf. I'm very happy with this. I built it in 48 hours. So, you know, it's not the greatest job, but I am very pleased with it. These old monogram NASCAR kits from the 80s just go together so cool. And this is a model I've always wanted to have on the shelf, so I'm extremely happy. But there's another reason why I have this out. So I'm going to move this back, and we're going to go back to the Porsche. Now we've gotten that update on that. Back to updating the Porsche. So what I did here is I started with doing a base coat that I have shown on the Porsche Group. I did a base coat of red oxide, and that was my rust kind of base coat. I just wanted to have that under there because the things I plan on doing with this painted body when I get all done with it, there's going to be some distressing done. So I did that. My next coat was gray primer. I wanted to have gray primer on there. But what I did before I did the gray primer, I did the little salt technique that Tim Brown over on Throttle Power showed in a video. Wet up a little bit of some of the areas, and I sprinkled the salt on, and it stuck. And then I shot the gray primer over it. So the hope is when I knock all this off, it'll go down to the rust color. After that, I shot base coat white, this TS 101, which the coverage was absolutely beautiful. But here we go. I just got finishing. I got 2 coats. I might put another coat on now. I wasn't wanting to. I didn't want to have a lot of color on here, but I went with this Italian red TS8, which color wise I love this. I've been looking for a popping, not poppy red, because that's a different thing, a real popping red color, and I think this is the stuff. And I shot it, and I'm noticing, I don't know if you see, this is just something, usually this happens with enamels, but you can see, you know, the white, you can see at the edges and even around the chipping stuff, the red is like splitting away from the edges and exposing the white undercoat. I don't know if you can catch that in there, and that is such an annoying thing to me in painting models. It drives me absolutely insane. And for some reason, no matter what you do, no matter how many coats you put on, these colors are going to run from the edges. And even like it's very thin, like right around down in there in this like recessed scoop area. I don't know if you can tell. Super annoying. You know why I cannot find a paint that will do good coverage. I know they're whites. I was having a lot of problem with their whites. That's why, you know, everybody suggested this TS 101. I want to thank BG. He lent this partial can he had left over. He lent this to me to try out, and I do love this stuff. I'm actually going to go buy a bunch of it. I don't have problems with you know, the Tamiya flats, semi-glosses, and stuff like that. Boy, they're spectacular. But I'm starting to lose my fandom on their gloss colors. I never used to have these problems, but now it seems to be. And as far as their clear, I think I'm done with their clear. I'm going to start moving on to, I'm waiting. I've had this for a while, hasn't even been open. But from everything I hear, this is the stuff now. Hopefully this will do it. And I'm not interested in all the clears that everybody's, oh, you should, you know, you get a bigger Candida. I'm not going to use Rust-Oleum clear. I'm not going to use even Dupa color clear. I don't like it. I want, first of all, a lacquer-based clear I'm going to use from now on. That's what this stuff is. This is all lacquer-based. TS13 is lacquer-based. Hopefully this Mr. Hobby or Mr. Color or whatever, Mr. stuff, Mr. Hobby stuff, that this will be the answer to my woes. Jim Drew says it's awesome. He's been having great luck with it. And, well, if Jim Drew likes it, I like it. Pretty much. That guy's models just don't fail for me. I'm just rambling on and venting my frustrations. So I've done some pretty neat things with this. I'll do another video more talking about this and some of the cool stuff I do. Like I said, when I get this right and the paint is still kind of fresh on here, so I don't really want to touch it much, but I think I'm going to go shoot one more coat. I am going to do a whole video on knocking that salt off and doing some things to it and showing some cool plans I got with that. Now let's go into something I want to show you guys that's very interesting, not bad. This has nothing to do with Tamiya. This has to do with paints and the pigmented paints or colors or whatever. This is a great example of how important a base coat or what primer you use. I know this can be a conspiracy or argument or whatever you want to say, but here is the flat out truth.
You're watching the Luka C channel on YouTube.
It does matter what color your primer is, depending on some paints. And it really, when you're going to be shooting a bright color like this, reds, yellows, vibrant colors, and orange, it's going to make a difference what's under the paint and what you lay down. And here is the total truth of it. Let's flip this car around. And everything smashed. Heck, I'll just use, I'll flip this over like that. The tire came off. We got to get the pit crew here. And if you can see, just the underneath of this hood. Okay. And this was done on purpose. I wanted it this way. It looks like two different hues of red, right? You can totally see that. And that was absolutely on purpose done because I knew this Italian red was very bright. And I didn't want the red on this chassis to be bright. So I shot red oxide primer down on this. And the red, this can right here, Italian red TS8, I shot it over the red oxide primer. Bam, got the color I wanted, a dark red. This same exact can, not just TS8 Italian red, but from the same exact can, I shot this red. So much brighter. Why? Because the base coat for it was this TS101. Huge difference. So yes, you can change the tone of your paint, especially your very vibrant paints. You can change those hues by what you put underneath them. It does matter. And that's why, you do have your whites. I know some guys like to use the pink primer, but you have your white primer and all that. I really love using red oxide and gray primers for different uses depending on what I'm going for. And if I want to change brighten up the hue basically of a color, I will now be using this base white. It really works out great. But back to my last time complaining about the Tamiya, I'm really very upset with how we're getting that separation from all the edges and stuff. And then I notice I got a run right there. Beautiful thing is that this is a lacquer base and I can do some buffing on some things. So I'm going to shoot another coat on here. And also know that every coat you go, it can darken up a little bit, even though you got that white under there. But yes, you can totally see the difference. Very much so. So there you go. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Let's get this fixed up. Put back on the car. Land this. Loved how that kit turned out for doing it in 48 hours. I'm very pleased with it. This thing, I'm not going to shoot any clear on it. One last thing that I'm going to say I don't like about doing this technique is because I don't want to knock those off, and I want them to stay on through the whole, all 3 layers on top of the first layer. I could never do any wet sanding, and I hate not wet sanding between coats of paint and between coats of colors and primers. I think that's a big part of getting a good finish and also having good bite with your paint. I worry about it coming off and coming apart, and we can't have that. But when you have that, I couldn't sand or do any wet sanding in between, so I don't know if this is something I'm going to do later on, but we'll see how this works out. It's the first time doing it, and we will see. So that is all my blah 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 about paints, Tamiya, other things, and just to show you the differences between what you put underneath your paint and what you'll get. So there you go. That's it. Thanks a bunch for watching. I'm having loads of fun this weekend getting my Porsche build on, and I think I'm gonna go shoot another shot of red on this baby and let it sit overnight and not touch it for a while, and then we'll make a video here in a couple days and I'll show you all the neat little things I did to this to make this a real cool base for a distressed, aged, used, very used car. It's gonna be cool. There's even little dents and dings. I want to show you some cool things there. Anyways, that's great. Let's go have fun. That's why we build these model cars. Yeah, wait, what is it? Why do we build these model cars? Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. Because they're fun. Here's our producers.
Wait, what?